Hey guys, Chicky DeMaine, aka Deboo, with a video forecast update. This video forecast update effective around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. And okay, guys, we finally got something to talk about. This is likely going to be a long video. We hope you'll stay tuned in for all of it. But we always like to start our videos off by thanking longtime followers and welcoming new ones by letting you know that we are primarily a surf and marine forecaster covering the North Atlantic waters, looking for weather systems and or patterns that produce high seas and or high surf. You can't have high surf without high seas. During summer, that's looking for tropical cyclones or hurricanes. During winter, that's looking for extratropical cyclones or storm force lows in the North Atlantic. Start you off with some visible satellite imagery. Now, this is 91L Invest. It's located right here in the central MDR. And for those longtime followers that know, we talk about the 50-yard line or the 50 long line, meaning longitude. The 91L Invest is now at the 50, guys. And so what we mean by that is any system that comes off Africa has got to get past the 50-yard line in order to become a threat to anyone. You with me? So that's why we talk about the 50 long line. It's really nothing to really worry about when it's in here. There's no landmass. We're at the 50. And so in the scope of the 2022 NFL season getting ready to kick off, now's the time that you may have to go on defense, right? You with me? And so let me point out some of this flow that we're talking about, and then we're going to talk about pareidolia a little bit more. So check this out now. Here's your ridge in here starting to build in here and getting an easterly push. You with me? This is an upper level low that's spinning in here over Cuba, right? Here's this 20% over here on the tip of the Nicaraguan-Honduran border that had a 20% chance of development. The GFS was showing a hurricane going up into the Gulf, while all the other models were going over into the Eastern Pacific. And for those of you who don't know the GFS has a bias in it where it likes to just blow everything up. But just like during hurricane season, it only takes one model to be right. But that's where the importance of model consensus comes in to give you the confidence what you're seeing. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen just because all the other models show something and one model does not. The most famous model would be Euro. Euro stands alone plenty of times and turns out right, and it's one of the most reliable models, and that's why a lot of people depend on it. But you can't discount what the GFS shows, especially if you are seeing it in the imagery. Sorry about that flash there, guys. So going back to this now. Upper level low over central Cuba. We've got 91L Invest. Now, 91L Invest has been embedded in deep layer Sal. All right, I'm going to switch that over to you right now. Now, this is a 5-day loop. And here's 91L coming in at the very end. You'll see it spin up, surrounded by Sal. And then there's your little puff dot coming right there. And so there's your system, right? And it's at the 50. And so we'll be watching, because as you watch this upper level low spinning here like this, you've got the ridge building it like this, and you're starting to get that easterly push in here. This should go well north of Puerto Rico. You see this little puff of clouds right here? This upper level low is leading it in towards the Bahamas. Okay? And so I would say right now, 5 days is where the models have it in this general location in here. 5 to 6 days, I think. We'll go through the models here in a minute. But in this general location. Now, if you watched the models a couple, 2-3 days ago, you saw how they kind of went to the left. Remember, I linked to the, to the left, everything you own in the box to the left. Okay, you start to pick up on the idea on why the models are the system, once it gets up in here, may want to go to the left. Okay, because this is going to be your other benchmark. right in here, north of Hispaniola. Because a lot of things can happen between here and here, especially, give me 1 second here, guys. Let me get to the end here. Hold on. So as we go through here, you'll see that there's the lift of the northern extension of the wave. You see that? Watch this. The lift of the northern extension of the wave. But here comes the circulation center down here at the bottom. Oh, dang it. All right, there we go. Here's your circulation center down here at the bottom. Right in here. Here's that ridge that we were talking about, getting that easterly flow. And then when you go in here and take a little deeper look, so the system has Sal to contend with. It's one of the reasons why it stayed weak. So it has this wall of Sal to get through once it's past the 50 here. Right? And then here is that upper level low that's spinning in here. This upper level low, you'll see cloudiness dropping in here. You have cloudiness in here. I did a rainbow satellite imagery post last night and on Twitter, and this had some convection firing up around it. So the idea here is that if this upper level low can help wash out this Sal in the next 24 to 48 hours, when the system gets north of Puerto Rico, north of Hispaniola, okay, here it is right here. Slide it back over. When the system gets in here, north of Hispaniola, look, the air is clear. So this is all that needs to get washed out in here, and this upper level low is spinning like this. All right, I'm going to switch you over to some modeling now. We're going to switch over to the Windy app, and we're going to start talking about potential surf and marine impacts coming up in the upcoming forecast. If you are only concerned about whether or not there's going to be a landfall on something, I would say right now chances are slim on a landfall for anybody that should go north of the Caribbean islands, in towards the Bahamas, and then once north of Hispaniola and Cuba, you know, that's when you got to start paying closer attention, because there's not a lot of distance between there and Florida. You with me? But until then, everybody's safe, everybody's fine. You can continue to watch the video, but we're going to start servicing our surf and marine community here. Switch you over to the Windy app now. A little tidbit on Windy. Windy is my favorite. I love it. And when the app first came out, we were one of the first accounts Windy started following on Twitter. And I love the app. If you guys don't know how to work the app, the European model loads by default, and then you can toggle down at the menu for GFS or for Icon to get a different perspective on, you know, what the models may, or the differences on what the models may be seeing in the upcoming forecast. All right, so this is the Euro for real time now, okay? So we've got 91L here spinning here. We've got this other area that I think has 40% chance of development, but that's not, you know, the concern here. This is likely going to end up going up in here as a fish storm, and which we love fish storms, guys. We don't want to see a landfalling anything. We just want to see surf. As surfers, we don't want any destruction for anyone, okay? But swell production is now starting to begin in earnest. We have northeast flow in here. The pressure gradient is starting to tighten up a little bit. The ridge is up in here, okay, pushing the system off towards the west. The pressure gradient is starting to tighten up in here. So we've got long northeast to east flow in here. And this is going to start pushing past the north of Puerto Rico and in towards the Bahamas. I'll advance the model for you going into Wednesday. May take a second for it to load. And so here's Wednesday. Now let me adjust a little bit, because now we've got the fetch north of Puerto Rico in here, okay? And so when you look for swell production, you're looking for fetch between Bermuda and north of Puerto Rico. In other words, the more nautical square miles of winds you can get between here, north of Puerto Rico and Bermuda, all the way back into here, the more ocean is getting pushed this way. You with me? So east, northeast flow, the ocean starts to ride this way. And when you have what's called a high-low stack, that's high pressure on top of low pressure, the pressure gradient tightens, the winds increase, and it starts to produce groundswell. All right, let me advance the model. This is going into Thursday, guys. Surf alert setting up this weekend. Surf alert setting up this weekend. Okay? Now we're here. The center of circulation is even with the latitude of Puerto Rico. So now we've got this fetch, and it's all starting to aim in here towards the southern Bahamas, but we still have this here. The hope is that this tightens up, because the longer the distance, this is going to set up waves for days, or should, based on the eventual outcome of this right here, which could be Danielle. Now I'm going to stop for a second. Let's go back to pareidolia, because a lot of people think that I just draw random lines and make funny faces, not knowing that 9 times out of 10, what I'm laying out for you is meteorologically correct. Okay? So I just did a little screen capture there. Let me enhance the color a little bit so it kind of gives it a little bit darker color. Okay? So here's your fetch, right? Put a little eyeball right there. Put a little eyeball right here. Here's your nose, right? That's your nose right there. Here's the mouth, right? Put the eyebrows. And we could say, that's a dog right there. Don't know what kind of dog it is, but here boy. Now fetch, get it? Wind fetch. That's pareidolia for you in a nutshell, guys. Let me get out of this and go back to the model. All right, so advance the model into Friday. Here comes the possibility of Labor Day swell 2022, guys. I'm going to adjust a little bit. You can see how the face is starting to change now. This eyebrow got raised, right? I'm raising an eyebrow in here. Possible surf alert setting up. Here comes your east-southeast fetch aimed up. By now, the swell should start filling in on the buoys here. South Bermuda buoy, the buoy to watch. Okay, we'll probably go into a buoy watch on Thursday because, like we said, today the swell is already starting to begin in earnest. Now, let me adjust this. Going into this weekend, Saturday, because Euro is getting ready to paint us a really pretty picture, guys. Despite what you may see here. Now, there is a possibility of a major swell event coming. Okay? Don't hold me to it. If it doesn't happen, don't shoot the messenger. I don't know how many times I got to say that, but don't shoot the messenger. But the pattern is setting up for it, and I'm fixing to show it to you. All right? So this is Saturday. We've got the 2 areas of low pressure here, getting the ocean pushed this way. We have another area of low pressure starting to develop here. Now, that means that eventually northeast flow, and then looky here. What do we got here? Look at the Irish, right? Because we have northeast flow in here. Now, this is Saturday, guys. How many days is that? That's inside 5 days, 6 days. It's the European model. It's not a lock, but it's something that we're keeping an eye on, and it's definitely not 10 days out, and it's not the GFS 2 to 3 weeks out. We all know those things are fantasy. We're in a 5-day window, so things are moving closer to real time. Let me widen this out a little bit. What is a possible major swell event? A possible major swell event is when you have a weather system and or pattern that will produce seas in excess of 25 feet, but then have local impacts, such as high surf. Let me move you into Sunday, and I'll probably stop it right there because we want to stay in the realm of possibilities. This is Sunday. Northeast fetch coming out of the North Atlantic. Northeast fetch developing here south of Newfoundland. Okay, weak though. And then northeast fetch starting here. Connect the dots. You with me? Now, the negative is if 91L blows up into a hurricane, it'll kill that. It'll kill it. So right now, from a surf perspective, let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope this one here cranks up. This one here cranks up. And now we got long period northeast groundswell coming out of the North Atlantic. If this thing can get right in here into the Bahamas, long fetch all the way in here, surf alert, and then once this, there's two ways to look at this. If this pulls up here to east of the Outer Banks and explodes, now you've got northeast fetch, and a primarily northerly swell component coming out of the North Atlantic. Listen, I've been rambling too much. I'll cut another video. I promise. I'm running short on time. Take this one for now. Stay tuned. Thanks for following.